So in this video, I am going to break it down to you exactly what I did and how I managed to make my move, but quite stress-free, to be honest. So from beginning to end, I'm going to unpick it completely so you know what it was that I did that allowed me to do this. So obviously, first of all, in the December, I came here on holiday knowing that it was for the purpose of exploring this as a potential country to live in. And the first few days, I was like, not sure. Stayed in KL. We traveled planning to go to Penang. Ended up stopping in Malacca. Somebody said, give it a little stop. I thought, okay, let's give it a stop. So stayed in a building called Amber Cove. And this was probably about day 4 of arriving in Malaysia. Looked outside the window and I thought, this looks like London. The rooftops, the odd skyscraper, the greenery, the view, all of it just looked like London. So as the days grew, my feeling in Malacca just grew with it. And I just thought, actually it was my brother as well who was with me. He said, this is the place. It's not too busy. It's quite cost effective, because if you buy a property in KL, you've got to spend 2 million, which works out about £365,000. And I just felt like that was way too much to be spending in a country or in an area that was potentially not the destination I wanted to be in. Do you know what I mean? So like, I personally think that it would be worthwhile when you come to rent. Anyhow, I'm going off at a tangent. I'm going off into detail about the areas I've chosen and why I chose Malacca. I'll do that in another video. This video is particularly to explain the journey before coming here. Over a period of time, knowing that I am going to eventually move countries, I was decluttering. So that's the first thing that you do. You start by decluttering your house. Sell off all of that extra stuff. You know what I mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got stuff in your house that's been there for a very long time. And it's just part of that house and that home. But you yourself could survive with just one suitcase. One suitcase with some clothing. Think about when you go on holiday for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the kind of stuff that you pack. That is all you as a human being actually need. It's the home and everything else around us that we start to accumulate and keep, because one day we might need it, you know? The hoarding that goes on is phenomenal. Anyway, I was minimizing. I got rid of stuff. I sold it on Facebook. Even down to recently purchased gym equipment, because I thought, I'm not carrying it across country. I'm gonna like leave this, sell it here. And you know, the funny thing is, I sold it for about 250 quid for the £500 equipment that I'd purchased. And I purchased exactly the same here for around £200. So you see my point. Take nothing with you. All you need to take is those few possessions that you really want, and the essentials, right? So when I packed 3 cases, but I'm going to come to that in a minute. So let me do this in a little bit of structure. Wrote it down in my book. First, otherwise I'm going to go off on tangents and then you're going to be confused. So start by decluttering, minimize the possessions inside your house, sell off items that you don't need. Facebook Marketplace is amazing. Raise money to spend money, because you raise that money, you're going to have cleaners come in, you're going to have skips. I had the rubbish guy, sorry Andy, I don't mean that you're rubbish, but he's the guy that deals with like waste, and he'll come and he'll pack it all up and he'll get rid of it for you, and he charges you. So the money that I was making off of Facebook was paying for him to come and clear out. And every so often, I think I had him round about 3 times. Andy, can you come and clear this? Andy, can you come and clear that? And he would come and do it. And finally left with the garage, which, you know, he was there with me when I emptied out the garage. So decluttering is the first one. That house, get it all in order, your possessions, minimize, because you don't want to travel with lots of items. I'm going to come on to shipping. So if there's some really important essentials, you keep those items and then they'll get packed by the shipping company. You can ship your possessions if they're valuable enough. Next thing you've got to do is you've got to put together a list of your direct debits. Open up your bank accounts, see how much money you've got, see how much you are spending on your DDs, and absolutely minimize your outlay and increase your savings, because this is what's going to be helpful for you when you come to this side. It's 6 ringgits to the pound. So every time you spend a pound unnecessarily, I want you to think of the 6 ringgits that you are going to get for your pound, okay? Go into your direct debits, streamline, minimize absolutely everything. Do away with all of those insurances. I had private medical insurance, I did away with it. I had life insurance, I did away with it because it's not going to be valuable to me here. I can take out insurances when I come here. So I cut back on so much the domestic and general appliance insurances. You know, all those extra stupid things that we do because it's good to do when you are established and you are settled in your home. And this is what you are now going to unravel. So direct debits, decluttering your house. Then what I want you to do is I want you to open an online bank account. Before we go to the online bank account, can I just ask you to appreciate this view for a second? And look at these houses. These are the houses that you could be living in. They're semi-detached, 3-story. My house is a 2-story, but this is a 3-story. And we're standing right now on the top. And, you know, it's a beautiful view and the weather's fantastic. It's not burning, boiling hot. It's perfect. I'm not sweating, am I? It's about 6 o'clock in the evening. So open an online bank account, open 3. If there's 2 of you and you are a couple, get 1 for him, get 1 for her, get 1 joint because you want to spread your money out. Starling is ideal because it doesn't charge you for international transfers on money and it's online. And the purpose of having online is because when you want to do something, you do not have to phone anybody. You can do it all online. And I've found that really helpful recently when my card wasn't working. I just did the contact us through the app and they're just a little bit more advanced. Keep your UK bank account, keep your money in your UK bank account, transfer it to Starling and then move it to the touch and go wallets, e-wallets, which I will talk about in 1 second. Okay, now in addition to the bank cards, I want you to get some credit cards. And I know I'm not in favour of credit cards, but I just want them there as a backup because that's what I did. You might use them, you might not use them, but just for the sake of emergency, get yourself some credit cards. FYI, I've just shifted. Balcony above, now balcony below. I think I'm going to stop at that, but I have got a lot to tell you, so bear with me, all right? So, credit cards. And I would say, yeah, so get that as your backup. So we've sorted the house out to a minimum. We're sorting out our banking, our direct debits, and the bank account that you're going to open. You need to get prepared, I'd say, for the apps that you're going to need in Malaysia. And the first one to get is Grab, and Grab is your Uber, and also Touch and Go. It's a wallet. It's an e-wallet that allows you to pay for things. Here they still use cash, but they have this facility now where you use your bank account money. Instead of using Visa, they're steering away from using Visa and they're using these e-wallets where you transfer your money from your bank account over to your e-wallet and then you use that e-wallet to pay for stuff and everywhere accepts them. So, money done, UK house done. Now let's talk about Malaysia because that was the other side to look at, right? I needed to look at travel. So I need to get myself over there and I need somewhere to live. So I used an agent in Tan. She helped me not only with the purchase but also with the rental. So I asked her for a rental and she found me a few places that were ideal. Funnily enough, I didn't actually visit the house. It was only until I got here, when I got here, that I actually saw it because I did it all off of pictures. Satisfied because she is a smart agent. She helped me find my house and she knew exactly what I wanted, pictured it in her head. She's got that much experience. She literally found me exactly what I was asking for within my budget, with the pool and everything. So, you're still in the UK, you've done your house, you've done your money, now you've got to notify the school if you've got children. So just email them, straightforward, tell them that you're going to be homeschooling them and you're going to homeschool from a certain date. 1 line is all you need. That end date, you don't return the child to school after that date. That's the end. Really nice. Hera's school were great. They contacted me, asked me a few questions, nothing major, what the plan was, and they gave her a nice little send-off and everybody had a little bit of time to write a goodbye card. So that's what you do with the school. Simple, nothing more than that. KCC will get hold of you, or where I am it's KCC, they're the local authority. They'll get hold of you and say that you're intending on doing this, and then you just explain that we're moving abroad, and that closes that door on the education side. Okay, Get in touch with a container company. Once you've minimized and you've got a list of possessions that you wish to take with you to Malaysia, get in touch with a container company, understand how much you're going to be taking and how much it's going to cost you. On average, for a 4-bedroom house with the majority of your possessions all packed up, sofa, TV, dining, kitchen appliances, all of that would cost you around between £5,000 and £7,500, I'd say, but get a quote for a company near to you. Next step, you're going to check your flights. You can do a one-way flight, but if you do what I did, right, I did an indirect. I stopped at Saudi Arabia first. I performed my Umrah. It's almost like the start of a new journey. If you're doing Hijrah, then doing it with Umrah to start is a beautiful way of starting that new life. So I started with my Umrah and then from there traveled straight over to Malaysia. But be warned, I came unstuck. When I left the UK, did my Umrah, went to leave Saudi, and they wouldn't let me board the flight without an onward journey. So as in a return ticket to somewhere else. So my journey needed to be where I fly to Malaysia, but then afterwards I'm going to fly somewhere else. So I did a quick purchase to Singapore, purchased a flight which was next to nothing. So I would advise that if you're going to do a one-way ticket like I have, then pros of videoing outside, then I would make sure that you've got an onward flight and make it the cheapest possible so that journey closes off, as in you're in transit through Malaysia. So that's what I did. And when you do, and if you do what I did, then make sure that you pack yourself up. Okay, if you're going to do what I did and travel and do Umrah en route, which I highly recommend, you're going to have to pack 3 sorts of luggage. 1 bag, small bag for your Saudi, abayas, scarves. Obviously, if you've got children, the kids are going to have a bag as well. So do separate bags for Saudi, separate bag for your essentials, as in a secondary bag, and then your non-essentials are going to be the bags that you don't touch, because you really don't want to be opening up every single bag en route. So that's what I did. 3 bags, 1 Saudi, 1 main use bag with all of my essentials, and then the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th bag was full of my non-essentials that were going to go with me to Malaysia. Then what you do is you book your flights. You do a one-way, and remember what I said, warning, make sure that there's an onward travel somewhere. So I did an organised 1-week stay in Kuala Lumpur. Use booking.com for that 1-week stay. It will just allow you to get in, get your bearings, and know where you're going to be going next. I stayed in Platinum 2, really good facilities, great pool, amazing view, costs you next to nothing. Probably about £50 per night for a 2-bedroom apartment. You can't beat that. And location-wise, it allows you to do a little bit of sightseeing while you're there for those 5 days before you book your next destination. We booked Malacca as our next destination, and we hired a bigger grab to house all of the bags and then take them on. However, I didn't take all of my bags. I left some of them with Intan in KL Selangor, and she held on to those for us for a little while whilst we got ourselves settled into our rental. With the rental, she found me a place. Obviously, I went and we stayed in a homestay Airbnb in Malacca on first arrival. You're going to be living out of bags for a little while, which is fine. You know what? It's fine. It's a great experience. We also travelled, didn't we? Do you remember? I didn't go to my rental straight away. It was supposed to be ready for me for when I arrived, but turns out I had about another 10 days because the tenant wasn't leaving, and I hadn't viewed it. So I viewed it, I gave it the okay, and they gave me a date. So with that date in mind, I did some more traveling. I went to Penang, fabulous experience. Langkawi, an absolute must. And then back to Malacca and Kedah, and back to Malacca, and then we moved into the rental house and started to unpack, knowing that we're going to be there for some months. There's no certainty on how long I'm going to be staying in this house for. I've taken it for a year. If I break the agreement, FYI, I can do that, but I've given 2 months rent and 1 month's deposit. If I break my agreement early, I will lose my 2 months as a penalty. And that becomes like, what, £1,000 is what I would lose if I break it. Or I just don't break it and I keep the house going, and family members, no doubt, will come and they can stay, or I'll work something out. But I'm very much a deal with it when the time comes, because life throws all sorts of interesting curveballs and you don't know what they're going to be. So go with the flow. That's what I say. That's like my absolute saying now. 2 things: it is what it is, and go with the flow. Whatever's meant to be will come. Right, now you can get, and I tell you what I did as well, I paid for 3 months in advance just to allow myself, again, a bit of settling in time to get used to things like what else is there to pay. And in a house, you've got only electric, water, internet, and what else was it she said? Oh, yeah, if you want Sky TV, that kind of thing. But 3 bills, that's it. And then we go on to the next part, which is then applying for a bank account, because you really do want to have a Malaysian bank account. Now, you can have this even if you're renting a house. Say you don't want to buy something, right? You can apply for the MM2H by just renting. So you can apply for a Malaysian bank account as long as you transfer a minimum balance of £40,000 into it, and that's without having the S&P paperwork that I had. So applying for a bank account, you can have one without having a visa. You can do it on your tourist visa as long as you bank £40,000, and that £40,000 minimum has to stay in that account. Obviously, you're going to do that. If you're going to apply for the MM2H, you have to have £80,000 in the bank anyway, of which you are allowed to remove half. Well, that makes complete sense now, because actually MM2H means that you have to leave a certain amount of money in the bank, as they have also said for the account. So that's kind of connected in some way. Now, you can apply for the MM2H, you can apply for the Guardian, work, spouses, or even a nomad visa. Or you can live on your tourist visa, 3 months here, leave the country for a couple of days and come back and do another 3 months, if you want to do it that way for a period of time and whilst you get used to things. Okay, so moving on to applying for a bank account. You don't have to have any particular kind of visa. You can open a bank account in Malaysia as long as you've got funds to put in. You're going to need a minimum of £40,000 to put in to the bank account. Was it £40,000? It was 40,000 ringgits. Hang on, let me just check. It's 40k, minimum balance of 40k. Now this is interesting, because when you're applying for the MM2H, you have to put about 83,000, of which they allow you to draw half after a year, which means they like to keep that balance for any foreigners who are staying here, even though you've got that visa. It's kind of like a security net. I don't know what they're going to do with it if you did abscond or do anything you shouldn't be doing, but they want that. So you can apply for a bank account. I've got a lovely contact who I made in CIB. I always get this wrong. CRMB. CIMB, that's it. Called Nora in KL. She was amazing. She contacted me through TikTok, and then she opened my bank account, right? So I'm just going to go, I'm going to go and pick up the bank card, because you're not allowed to post it. They don't post bank cards. So I'm going to go to KL to pick up the bank card. I'm doing that tomorrow. Right, so now visas that you can apply for: MM2H, Guardian, work, spouses, and nomads. There's multiple immigration offices in every single area. You're not going to have to travel to KL or anything like that. There's small offices, and they're just really well organized, and you can put your application in for a visa there. We're going to be helping people do that too. Right, so come back now, because like we've kind of organised a trip to Malaysia, but what's going to happen to the house in the UK? Have you thought about that? Are you going to rent it? Are you going to sell it? What's the plan? Personally, I was thinking about renting it because it gives me an income to spend in this country. Also, you have to deregister for tax purposes in the UK if you want. You might not want to, dependent on your status, but if you're going to be renting your house out and you're going to be earning more than £12,000, the rest of it's going to be taxable, so be considerate of that. All right, so now rent. You might want to sell it. You could, if you want to bite the bullet and make that move, sell it, use that money to invest in property in this country or to live in or to rent out over here, because the Airbnb market in this country is popping. And I think it's going to get better. I also think that because Malaysia is a really popular destination and because so many people are thinking of moving now, what with being able to work remotely, what with just the choice of, you know, that remote sense, the less of being less embedded somewhere, and people's mentality has changed, mindsets have changed, and people are really starting to explore different standards of living and different lifestyles as well, having done lockdown, having spent time with their family and seeing the value of that. Anyhow, sell the house, sell the car, rent the house, sell the car. If you've got a car on finance, give it back now. Take whatever equity you've got, buy yourself something cheap to run around with, and then sell it. And then when you come here, you can buy a new car, you can buy a second-hand car. The car insurance is based on the value of the car, not on you. So don't expect to pay hefty road taxes, hefty car insurances. Like, some of your car insurances are as expensive as your mortgages these days. I think I've been bitten. I was saying about this today. I haven't been bitten, and because I'm sat here on the balcony, although this is a first, I think I've jinxed myself. Okay, what about income? Everyone is asking, what am I going to do for income? If you're lucky enough to have an online job, fantastic. If you're not, and you want to come here and you want to find work, you can go to Indeed, or you can go to JobStreet, or you can start making friends, right? And do what everybody else does. Get out there and find a job. If you want this enough, right, and you want to change your lifestyle, then bite the bullet, come over and find some work. And your MM2H visa permits you to work, just so that you know. If you're here on a tourist and then you want to get a job, there's loads of jobs. There's retail, there's Grab taxi driving if you want to do that. There's professional jobs, IT jobs are hugely in demand here. Cybersecurity, if you're in that, everyone loves a bit of cybersecurity. So get a job. Next thing, school. I've done a separate video about school, but I'll highlight it here to you because this one is a long one about everything, and I said I was going to bite-size it all. You've got Chinese, Malay, and international. International, you're looking at about £400 per month per child. Primary level, 400 is probably the most expensive, FYI. If you've got special education children, they cater for that as well. There's a huge selection of schools, but individually, special education, or they've got the facility within schools. There's also rehab schools. I think I've pretty much covered everything, right? That's the unpacking part in the house, the banking part, back up with a credit card. What else was there? Back up with a credit card, what to do with your home in the UK, minimizing your possessions, contacting a container company, getting your shipment over. Takes about 3 months, bear that in mind. Check your flights to Kuala Lumpur and do a detour. Make the flight cheaper, but also get to stop in Saudi or Dubai or another country just to bring the cost down, but also to have some sort of purpose out of that journey. And then securing yourself a rental here, making your move, closing off in the UK. I've definitely been bitten. And then starting your reality journey here. But before you do your reality journey, make sure that you visit some of the other parts of Malaysia because there is so much to explore. And income and school, that's it, you're established. But take your time with it, peeps. Don't rush into anything. Take it easy. Do some homeschooling. Make sure if you've got children that you bring with you some study books for them to work, little workbooks. I think I did a TikTok on that actually. Just explain, go online, get yourself some study material. Get the material, get the workbooks, and you're away. And that is all I can tell you in step-by-step guide to bite-size your movement from the UK to another country. And should you come here on holiday and stay here for a period of time before you make that move. I personally didn't. I came here for 2 weeks. I knew this is where I want to be and that is it. But I'm quite different. Once I'm quite headstrong. I know what I want. I see what I want and I'll go and I will take it. The best that I can, of course, right? Allowing for your own. You've all got different lifestyles, different facilities, different savings, different whatever compared to me. But this is just for people that are maybe in similar sort of situation. I think it's based on your personal choice as to whether you come here and stay here for a few months. My preference was I'd made a decision, I know that I was going to do it, and I went ahead and did it. So if you have had this in your head for some time that you wish to move country, you want to live in a Muslim country, for example, Muslims, non-Muslims, but you don't want to live in the UK anymore, you want a warmer climate, you want a different lifestyle, you want something different in your life, then I'd just say don't hang about. I think doing that is just going to cost you an extra expense. You might as well just go ahead and do it. But that is the kind of person that I am. I'm a risk taker. If you classify yourself as not being a risk taker, then make it more gradual than I have. If you've enjoyed what I have posted, please like, please share, add your comments below, and thank you again for watching, and I'll keep more of this stuff coming because you guys have asked me to and you seem to love it.